Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Sunday, the day after another Arsenal victory. I'm sure you've just about got over the tension of that second half yesterday up at Turf Moor. It was one hell of a battle, as you would expect, up at Burnley, but Arsenal edging through it, winning 1-0. Their second successive 1-0 win in the Premier League moves them up to 6 points ahead of next weekend's game against Tottenham. Another clean sheet and some really good performances, certainly when it comes to the defenders and the goalkeeper for Arsenal. So I want to talk a little bit about that game, some of the big talking points from it, some of the big performances from it. And I'll go through my player ratings at the end because I didn't have time to do them from the match yesterday. I mean, in terms of performance, look, it was a performance that was kind of split into two, really, attack and defence. But personally, for me, I loved it. I absolutely loved that game. I didn't love it at the time, and I was getting really annoyed when the forwards were messing up and not taking advantage of some of the situations they found themselves in, and just the final pass was poor. There were so many opportunities for Arsenal to kill that game off yesterday, make it 2-0, get the second goal, and they just didn't get the final pass right. Pepe wasting one to Aubameyang. Smith Rowe doing it as well at the end of the first half. Aubameyang himself. There was so many. Nuno Tavares at the end when he decided to shoot from 40 yards when Arsenal had about a 4-on-1 situation. They just chose the wrong. They made the wrong decision at the really crucial time in the final third, and I'm not going to say nearly cost them, because in truth I thought defensively Arsenal were excellent, but it could have cost them. So they need to improve on that in their final third. They need to make the right decision at the right time. They need to get the final ball right, because sometimes against better teams that will come back and bite you. But it didn't yesterday, because I thought defensively they were fantastic yesterday, Arsenal. Gabriel, absolutely colossal at centre-back. Tomiyasu, I mean, what a fantastic performance from Tomiyasu. He wouldn't have experienced many games like that in his career away at Burnley. To be sort of thrown in only a second game for Arsenal, when he coped with it so well. He was fantastic. The stats back that up. Didn't lose a single duel yesterday, either in the air or on the floor. Just a really excellent performance again from Tomiyasu, who's looking like an excellent signing. Aaron Ramsdale, absolutely brilliant in goal as well. Made saves when he needed to, but the way he commanded his penalty area, he claimed crosses, his distribution at times, just all of it from Aaron Ramsdale. Again, it's just really sort of justifying Mikel Arteta's decision to play him at the moment. And I thought it was real. I thought Thomas Partey, before in the second half, he got tired. Thomas Partey dropped in, really protected the defence really well. Ben White had a mixed afternoon. There was a couple of times with Ben White where he made a couple of errors. I mean, the penalty that was given away with that bad sort of a sloppy back pass, although Arsenal did that time and time again yesterday. I think because of the length of the grass at Burnley, they do let it grow, and Arsenal kept under hitting their passes, and Ben White nearly gave away a penalty because of that. And he had a couple of shaky moments, but he also had some really good moments, I thought, Ben White, and he really grew into it in the second half, and he won more aerial battles than anyone else yesterday. And that is, when everyone sort of says that he's not very good in the air, that kind of shows that he's not quite as bad in the air as a lot of people talk about. And I think he's going to certainly, he's still settling in, Ben White. It takes some players longer than others, but he still played his part yesterday in that fantastic defensive performance from Arsenal. And it was a classic 1-0 to the Arsenal, wasn't it? I really enjoyed it once it was finished. I love seeing those battling performances when you got your backs to the wall. We don't see it too often from Arsenal, especially up in the northwest. We've seen them slip up time and time and again against the likes of, no, not Burnley, because Arsenal actually got a decent record against Burnley, but certainly, your Stokes or your Boltons and those sort of teams over the years, Arsenal have really struggled when it's become really physical, and it was very, very physical yesterday, and they coped with it brilliantly, marshalled superbly, I've got to say, by Gabriel. It was his best performance I've seen for a long time, Gabriel, and if he can continue that level of performance and the defenders around him can continue to perform well, and so can Ramsdale, then Arsenal aren't going to concede many goals, and that is going to give them the opportunity, because there's no doubt in my mind Arsenal will improve going forward. Just need to be a little bit calmer in those key situations, show a little bit of composure that they didn't show yesterday, and take advantage of when they get a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1, or even at the end when it was pretty much a 4-on-1, like I said, when Tavares went through and for some reason decided to shoot. So they've got to improve on that. I mean, Mikel's saying afterwards that it's a really hard-fought victory in a place that is tough to come and win. We started really well, controlling and dominating the game, had some big phases when I saw things that we want as a team. We scored, we had some opening chances, and then there were moments we lost control and started to give balls away after the second and third pass, and then it becomes much more open and there is no control. he said we had to start defending long crosses and balls. I thought that we did that really well. We have players that are not of the best quality to play that sort of game, but I think they did it terrifically well, and the commitment and attitude that they showed throughout to find a way to win was the most pleasing thing for me. And I agree with that. It was about finding a way to win. As I said, time and time again, we've seen Arsenal throw those sort of games away when it becomes really physical. We kind of saw it against Brentford on the opening night, didn't we? And you sort of look back to that Brentford second goal from the long throw when Leno probably was fouled, but still we got a little bit bullied. The defenders didn't get off the ground. We didn't see that yesterday. They competed for absolutely everything. They really fought very, very hard for those 3 points, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. I think, and you could see what it meant to them at the final whistle with some of those celebrations as well. They didn't leave anything out there on the pitch, and credit to them for that. I touched on Gabriel. I mean, I thought he was fantastic. Mikel said that he's a player of an incredible future and he's already given us a lot. He's adapted really well to the league. That's why we signed him. He's stepping in. His language is much better and he can coach and communicate much better with his teammates. He understands what we want, and I don't think it gets much harder than playing here in the Premier League. He was terrific today, and he absolutely was. I mean, Gabriel's stats, when you look at them, I've got them here. Most tackles out of anyone for Arsenal 3, most clearances out of anyone for Arsenal 8, most blocks out of anyone for Arsenal with 2. He was just absolutely fantastic, throwing himself into challenges. That one in the first half when it looked like Ashley Barnes was going to get in, he just hooked the ball over his head, got it away. In the second half, he was throwing himself into block shots. He was winning headers. It was. When Gabriel first arrived and he had that sort of 2-3 month spell when he won man of the match or player of the month three months in a row, it was back to that sort. And you look at Gabriel and how he's been at Arsenal. That first half, it was fantastic, the first half of the season. Then he got some injuries and he got COVID, and it all became a little bit more difficult as that second half of his first season went on. But, this is his second season now. He's fully adapted, you would think, and like Mikel said, his English is much better, he can communicate much better. Still only 23, he's got all the attributes to be an absolutely fantastic defender, and we really saw that yesterday. I thought it was a dominant performance from him. Colossal, as I described it. He was a colossus, and he deserves an awful lot of credit for what he for the performance he did, and with Tomiyasu as well, and Mikel again saying, look, both of them, I think they were really terrific. I think the whole back four in general was really solid. We didn't concede much, even though they put us under pressure. I thought they were really good, and I just absolutely agree with him. I think they absolutely were. I mean, I don't want to go too over the top with the performance and the result, because there was a lot, as I touched on at the beginning of this, there was a lot of frustration in that performance as well. Certainly going forward, Arsenal weren't at their best again. Only scored the one goal, which wasn't from open play. It was a brilliant free kick from Martin Odegaard, but from open play they didn't score. They had the opportunities. It was kind of similar. It was a bit different to Norwich, actually, should I say, because against Norwich they actually had the clear shooting opportunities that they didn't take. Yesterday they didn't actually quite have that many clear shooting opportunities because their final ball was so poor. They should have had at least 3 or 4 golden shooting opportunities if they'd made the right pass at the right time, but every time they messed it up. And that one when Pepe and Orba were through 2-on-1, and it was just a really simple ball for Pepe to play Orba in, and it would have been bang 1-on-1, and he just didn't even reach him. It was just a really poor ball. Again, like with the Ben White back pass, it was just a bit under hit. I think Arsenal really struggled with the length of the pitch. Arteta touched on it afterwards, and Ben White spoke about it as well. I think that did make an impact, and we saw it with Smith Rowe right at the end of the first half when again Arsenal went through. They had about a 3-on-2, 4-on-2 situation, and the final pass just wasn't there. Smith Rowe mucked it up, and they've got to improve on that. You think next week against Tottenham, if they're in those situations, they've got to take them. You can't keep messing it up. You've got to show a bit of composure and quality in the final third. So while Arsenal were excellent at one end yesterday, they weren't so good at the other end. But end of the day, all that matters is the result, and Arsenal got that result, and it was a really, really big one. That was a big game for Arsenal. After beating Norwich, they needed to back that up yesterday and take another win into the North London derby next weekend. If they'd have lost yesterday, then all the pressure would have been on them again ahead of Spurs. But now they've won, they've built up a little bit of momentum, and then they can take it in. If they beat Spurs next weekend at home, then suddenly the start to the season is beginning to look, a lot different. So yesterday was a big, big game, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. I thought Bukayo, there were a few players who struggled. I didn't think Orba, Pepe or Bukayo played very well, but Bukayo Saka particularly, he's just having a little bit of a tough period, I think. He's come back from the Euros, obviously didn't get much pre-season because of what was going on, and he's just struggling to find his best form. And I didn't think he was great again yesterday. He struggled at times. He didn't really make too much of an impact on the game. And we asked Mikel about it in a press conference afterwards. He said, look, he hasn't had a lot of preparation physically. I think there are still things to improve there, but he is trying. He is another one who has struggled in the final minutes, but it's great that he's able to suffer and somehow come through that and manage those difficulties and during games when it's not really going for him. That's just part of football. He had parts where he was brilliant and he had parts when he struggled. That is better than being brilliant and then struggle. So it's part of his development, and I'm really happy with him. I think what we need to remember with Bukayo, how young he is, what he's gone through in the last 2 years of his career, really. It's all been this upward trajectory. There are going to be dips. It's just going to happen. It's only been a couple of games where he's been a little bit below par, certainly from the high standards that he's set so far. So I'm not too worried about it at the moment, and whether Mikel feels like it might be time to take him out of the team for a little bit, give him a bit of a breather, that might be the case. You could potentially, if you want to, not that I really want to see this happen, you could play Smith Rowe on the left, you could play Aubameyang on the left and bring Lacazette up front. So there are opportunities available to him, but I just like this new Arsenal spine that we're seeing at the moment. When you look at that team and you look, there's character there, there's resilience there. We saw it in abundance yesterday, and you got sort of Ramsdale, Gabriel and White, Tomiyasu, you got Partey, you got Orba up front. There's just, for the first time, there's a bit of a new look to Arsenal at the moment. We saw a new formation again yesterday. We saw that 4-3-3 that he ended against Norwich. It was a very brave move for Arteta, especially away from home, but he went with it. Didn't work that well, but I still like the fact that he's gone with that. He showed a lot of balls doing it. And I just like the spine that we're beginning to see emerge. It's just looking a bit new and a bit fresh and something to build on. Arsenal are way down at the start here. They've got a lot of way to go yet before they're a decent team and a good team who can really challenge and compete even for the top six at the moment. Certainly for the top four, but even top six, the starters, they're playing catch up, let's face it. But just seeing a little bit of a new look Arsenal, a new spine, and that's encouraging for me. And Ramsdale at the heart of it again at the back. I thought Mikel, I asked him about it afterwards. Was that the way he sort of commanded his area in such a real pressurised game when you're getting cross after cross dumped into the penalty area to the likes of Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes? And I said, did that show the character that he is? He said, yes, exactly. That's his character and his leadership. That's how he presents himself as a person as well. And that's what I like. He has a presence and he dominates his area. And look, I think we all had reservations, certainly about the price tag when it came to Aaron Ramsdale. But, you've got to give him credit. The first 3 performances he's played, he hasn't conceded a goal yet. 1 in the League Cup, 2 in the Premier League. He's been impressive in all of those games. And he warrants his place as Arsenal number 1, and I'm sure he'll be in goal next Saturday against Tottenham. And I love the way he seems to enjoy himself as well. You can tell he's so happy to be at Arsenal, and he's already got a real rapport with the fans. We saw them chanting his name again yesterday, gave his shirt away again yesterday. It's been a really solid start for Aaron Ramsdale, and long may that continue. Just quickly on the injury front, Kieran Tierney went off yesterday and Emil Smith Rowe went off yesterday. It seems both are only cramp. Doesn't look it's anything serious. Mikel asked about Tierney specifically. Said he had a problem and he was cramping. The pitch was pretty difficult. It was long, pretty warm to be playing up here, and some of the players suffered in the last 10 or 15 minutes. So hopefully nothing too much to worry about in terms of Arsenal's fitness and injuries ahead of the game against Tottenham. We do have the League Cup match against Wimbledon to come on Wednesday before that, but I suspect we'll see a fair few changes for that one. Okay, before I go quickly, just some player ratings as I didn't have time. I'll go through them fairly quickly. Aaron Ramsdale for me gets an 8. I thought he was fantastic in everything he did. So he gets an 8. Tomiyasu as well gets an 8 for me. Ben White, I'm going to give a 7. Gabriel, my man of the match, he gets a 9. Tierney, I'm going to give a 6. Partey, a 7. Smith Rowe, 6. Odegaard, 7. Then the front 3 of Saka, Pepe and Aubameyang, I'm giving a 5. Because they just didn't really click, I didn't think, too much. Wasted some opportunities when they came, certainly when it came to their final pass. So they get 5s, but the rest of them, Ramsdale 8, Tomiyasu 8, White 7, Gabriel 8, Tierney 6, Partey 7, Smith Rowe 6, Odegaard 7, Saka, Pepe and Aubameyang all get a 5. All right, everyone, that is it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the game yesterday, and you can enjoy the rest of your weekend knowing Arsenal have got 3 points in the bag. Like I said, Wimbledon to come this week. That's on Wednesday. Then the big one, the North London derby at the weekend. Follow all my updates on social media. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and all my stuff on Goal, obviously, and I'll continue to pop on during the week to do as many videos as I possibly can. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll speak to you soon.